Look at this contraption, fellas. It's a wah-wah. Oh my god, that's so stupid. What are we doing today? This is it. The end has arrived. We are finally done screwing around with this SLO Nakid amplifier that we built. What are we going to call this video? It's been a long and winding road. I filmed a whole bunch of stuff and we're throwing it all away because there's no narrative. I don't know how to make a movie out of it. We're going to call this the Tone Priest modded SLO Nakid. And we made a demo using all sorts of stuff. Basically, there is something for everybody in this video. But, how does this sound? I don't know. You guys tell me. Let's do the demo. Hang tight. Here we go. This is how it sounds.
Saw your face last night on the tube. Strong fried snake in a sucker's vacuum. 15 clicks and it's time to say bye. 15 truths and a lovely worldwide.
We're coming out! Guns blazing!
Wow, somebody's been upping their game for sure. I hope you all enjoyed that. The Tone Priest has definitely been leveling up, that's for sure. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Oh my god, is that me? Wow, dudes, I smell like a horse's ass right now. It's been a little bit warm, and it's kind of funny. I was watching a podcast that's based in Britain, and I guess you guys are going through a heat wave, and they were complaining that it was like 31 degrees, and I don't know, I'm in America, I don't know, 31 degrees, that doesn't sound very hot. But I converted that over into freedom units, and that's like 88 degrees. Guys, I mean, yeah, that's a little warm, and if it's humid, that's uncomfortable, but Jesus Christ. I got out of work the other day, and this is what my car thermometer said.
What's the weather like out there? It's hot! Damn hot! Real hot! Were you born on the sun? It's damn hot!
So, there's that. But I guess apparently you guys don't have air conditioners over there? Are you guys living in the Stone Age? What the hell is wrong with you? Anyway, I digress. What were we talking about? Demos, I guess, amps. I guess we're going through the entire Monster Magnet catalog. You may ask why, and why wouldn't you? Because they're a cool band. They just play cranked amps, and they do use a nice assortment of effects in their music, and that's right up our alley. And their songs are pretty approachable for me. I am not a guitar player. I just play one on TV, and definitely not a lead guitar player, so these songs are approachable, and I think they're appropriate for the channel, so I hope you enjoy Monster Magnet.
You know how to say it. Space loud motherfucker. Yeah. That feels good, motherfucker.
Because I can assure you, that will not be the last Monster Magnet song that we cover here. Alright, what are we going to talk about? I think for this video, I'm just going to talk about random things that we learned along the way through building this project. It's not going to be very coherent, but hopefully it'll be interesting to somebody out there. Yeah, I guess let's start with that. Hang tight. Alright, let's start with the easiest thing, the vocals. They were obviously Dave's original isolated tracks. In the past, when I've done these projects, I would hopefully find, you know, the studio isolated tracks on YouTube somewhere and download those and use those. In lieu of that, I was using the online stem splitters that were available, but I tried that with this song and it just wasn't happening. It was too much artifacts, too much bleed, too much yuck. So doing a little bit of research, we came up with the Ultimate Vocal Remover program that you can download onto your computer. It's also called UVR for short. Playing around with that, much better than the online stuff. And you probably don't need to worry about, you know, downloading viruses while you're splitting your stems. So if that interests you, seek that out and download that and use that for your projects. Drums, Steven Slate drums. It's $100, but I would say, well, let's just say thumbs up. Has my the Tone Priest seal of approval, the Steven Slate drums. You can download that for free, and it's got full functionality. The only limitation is you only get one drum kit. But even with that one drum kit, it's a very, you know, middle-of-the-road rock drum kit. But with all the full functionality of that program, you can do so much with that program. You can radically change how the drums sound, as far as like resonance and, you know, decay and stuff like that. All the drums have several mics on them, so you can blend and pan different mics, room mics, close mics, this, that. It's great. And for $100, you can upgrade to get all the, you know, million other kits. The limitations on that is you are limited to a 6-piece kit. So you get kick, snare, 2 rack toms, 2 floor toms. You get 2 crashes, a ride, and a splash. And it's got some percussion stuff too. So, superior drummer, probably superior, but that's 3 times as much, right? So, thumbs up on the Steven Slate drums. We like that here. and I think we are using it to good effect. All right, pedals. Tone Priest Storm Dancer. I believe this is the PCB that you can't see, but the PCB behind this cover here we got from Mad Bean Pedals. It's kind of, it's not like a clone of flangers out there. It is kind of an amalgamation of DIY projects, and Mad Bean made their own project, and it sounds great. I think we use this guy too. This, I believe, is an ion board. This is a clone of the Boss DM2. I'm probably screwing that up. Delay pedal. Vintage Bucket Brigade delay. We use that on the flanger guitar part to add a little bit of fullness and body to it. Now, on the left, we're going to call the fill part. Is that his name? Hold on. I don't want to spread misinformation. Phil Caivano, right? Phil... How do you spell Caivano? Yeah, Phil Caivano, musician. There he is. There he is. So for the fill part, that's this guitar on the left-hand side of the audio spectrum. I would just plug straight into the SLO and wail away. On the other side, we're calling the Dave part. I believe Dave writes most of the music, and before Phil was actually in the band. I don't think Phil was in the band when they recorded this song originally, but, you know, this is my narrative, this is my video, I do what I want. Anyway, right side, in my mind, is the Dave part. We use the Stratocaster, and I believe Dave is fond of using an Ibanez DS9 into a twin. So what we did is we used my clone of an Ibanez DS9, which we called Jingu. Am I pronouncing that right? Into the SLO, into the clean input. And that is panned all the way to the right. I got birds in the chimney here. Don't mind them. I double tracked both sides. I originally I was going to use one track for each side. But when I was mixing it, there was too much gain. So what I did is I went back and I rolled down the volume knob on each side and recorded an additional track, and I was going to use those with less gain. But I found when you blended the two, it was perfect. Oh, it was perfect. As perfect gets around here. So that's why when you're watching the video, at the end of the song, you're like hearing guitars, but you're not seeing anyone playing. There's actually two more guitar players in the recording there. But anyway, that's the Dave part. What other parts are there? Oh, we did the solo at the end, which will be the Ed part. What did we do? We just plugged straight into the SLO, and we added a little bit of delay on the solo. For the guitar solo at the end, we used this wah pedal. For the dinning in the middle of the song, we used the world's greatest wah pedal, the Morley WVO. Is that what we're calling this? Yeah, the Morley WVO Vintage. The only problem with this thing, it's the greatest sounding wah pedal that was ever made. However, it is very noisy. When you're not playing, it's like... Stay tuned for an upcoming video. We're going to get into the guts of this thing. We're going to recap it. There's a transformer in there because it plugs straight into the wall. That may be contributing to the noise level. Sort of like a tube driver. The old tube drivers have a little transformer in there as well, and they're noisy. They sound great, but they're noisy. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna try and get rid of that noise and make that a little more usable. That's why we use this guy, the Joyo here, for the end solo. Is that all the effects we used? All the gizmos? I think it is. Let's move on to the amp, and we'll talk about the Tone Priest mods to the SLO Nakid. Hang tight. Alright, fellas, there she is in all her glory. Don't worry about him for now. The Tone Priest modded SLO Nakid. Because we can't be making all that noise like we used to make, that was not plugged into real speakers. We are now recording using the Fryette Powerload IR. Got this recently. Couldn't be happier. It solves a problem. It's not ideal. I would much rather, mic up a real speaker cab, but it's not an option, so we got to do what we got to do. So this definitely solved the problem. All right, we built the SLO Nakid to spec, and it sounded great. sounded like an SLO, but it wasn't really the amp I was looking for. It's just all the gain. Once you get the gain knob from here to about here, you're going full throttle. It's metal. And I was looking more for a hard rock, and if you push it up all the way, get into the metal zone up here. And that was not the case on the original circuit. You know, once you got here, you're going. You have reached orbit. And for the person that this amp is going to be going to, I think my changes would probably suit him better, because I think, you know, for the most part, you know, the way he's going to be using this amp, I don't think he's going to want to be playing Slayer every Sunday at church. Does that make sense? Oh, we're stuck. The tripod's stuck, fellas. There we go. So we needed to figure out how to tone this sucker down. And let me show you how we did that. Alright, so how the Soldano Super Lead Overdrive works in its natural configuration is the guitar signal comes into the first gain stage, and right off the bat, if we look at the schematic, I don't know if you can see this, but you can trust me. Original configuration has a 220K plate load resistor with a 1.8K cathode resistor. So the 220K is like more than double what you might call the normal plate load resistor for a V1. And that has the effect of just basically putting the throttle right to the floor. And that's how she starts, and then we go into a very aggressive cold clipper. So we're distorting, and we attenuate in between the two gain stages, and then we cold clip the crap out of it, attenuate, gain the crap out of it, attenuate, and then we go through the tone stack, and then we go through the phase inverter. So we go from 0 to 100, and we just keep pushing it, pushing it, pushing it. So this is a distortion and gain machine. And like I said before, that was just too much lemonade for me. So what we ended up doing is, over here, this is our V1. We have yet to document this. We changed the V1 plate load resistor from a 220K to 100K. Get rid of that guy. So that brings the gain down quite a bit. We bumped up the cathode resistor from a 1.8K to a 2.2K. And another thing we did is since V1, we had an unused triode, we are now using it. So V1 is being run in parallel operation. So we tied together the plates, we tied together the cathodes, so both plates and both cathodes are sharing their respective resistors. And then the grid, each grid input has its own 68K grid stopper resistor. That has the effect of, correct me if I'm wrong, it will increase gain a little bit, but it increases transconductance, it reduces noise, I believe, by like 3 dB, and it reduces output impedance, which is all stuff that is good, I guess. Objectively good, can we say that? That's all good stuff. Okay, so those mods there got us, a lot of the way to where I wanted this amp to be, but it was still a little bit more rowdy than I wanted it to be. And so we had to do one more thing to make this amp perfect. Alright, and what was that final thing? Alright, in its normal configuration, all 4 preamp tubes are 12AX7s. Like I said before, we are just maxing the gain out on each gain stage, and a 12AX7 is a tube that has the maximum amount of gain you can basically get out of a preamp tube. So we were like, why don't we slowly ramp up the distortion instead of just going balls to the wall straight from the beginning. So what we ended up doing is, if I can get this sucker out, in V1 we are using, can you read that? No, you can't read shit. A 12AY7. The 12AX7 has a gain of 100, And a 12AY7 has a gain of somewhere between 30 or 40, so much less gain. And then the final trick we did, the cold clipper stage, we are using this guy right here, which is a very cool tube. This is a 5751. Can we get that in focus? Probably not. 5751 has a gain of about, I think, like 60 or 70. So a little bit less than a 12AX7. So in effect, we're just slowly ramping up the gain as we go through the preamp. And when there was all 12AX7s in here and we had the 220K plate load resistor, you could roll the volume down on your guitar to like basically 1 or 2. And yeah, it would lessen the gain a little bit, but it was still very distorted. And now in this new configuration, you can roll your volume back and you can get, you know, even with this guy cranked, you can go from balls to the wall distortion, roll down the volume on your guitar and get basically just about pristine clean. And I think this is a much more usable amplifier and it just sounds really great. I guess I should probably demonstrate. Hang tight. Oh, we got the tone on sandals. We got an SM57 about 16 inches back and small diaphragm condenser about 4 feet back. And we got Phil Cavano watching us over our shoulder to make sure we don't screw this up. Hopefully this sounds good because I'm not going to spend any time trying to futz with microphones. We got stuff to do, so this is going to have to do. Hang tight. Alright, I have my lawsuit era Bentley Les Paul shaped object. We're not using this right now. Going straight into the unclean channel. The gain's on like 2. And this is what this sounds like. Alright fellas, we interrupt this regularly scheduled program to bring you something that I really was not wanting to do today. If I left the clip in while I was demonstrating the amplifier, when I was hitting hard chords, from out of nowhere, I would get drastically reduced output power. Which is not cool, because I thought we were done with this thing. And with our friend ChatGPT, we very methodically went through the troubleshooting process, and we learned a bunch of things. Long story short, I think it was a faulty speaker cable that was causing that fault. But I learned some other stuff along the way. Well, yeah, one, don't use crappy cables for your stuff. A bad speaker cable can damage your amplifier if it shorts out or, you know, goes open or something like that. So that speaker cable I had been using, I've had for like 5-6 years, and back in those days, 5-6 years ago, I was buying crap for all these projects from Amazon. I got this from Amazon too, but it was like an Amazon Chinese special cable, and it's tired and worn out, and we're pretty sure that's what the problem was. So don't buy cheap Chinese crap. Spend the money, buy some good quality stuff. So what else did we learn? Multimeters, same thing. I was using 2 multimeters. I had one measuring plate voltage on a tube socket, and I had the other one measuring the screen voltage on the same tube socket. And the measurements I was getting, it appeared like the screen voltage was higher than the plate voltage. Swap the duties of the 2 multimeters, and then it went to where you would expect it, with the plate voltage being higher than the screen voltage. So, what is the lesson learned here? I was a mechanical inspector, and I brought a company into ISO 9000 regulation, so I should, you know, obviously know that measuring and test equipment is supposed to be calibrated. I have really no way of doing that here. Well, I guess, yeah, I could probably figure out a way to do it. But these guys aren't calibrated, and they're certainly not calibrated against each other. So there is there's a variance between either the meters or the leads that would, you know, they're not measuring at the same level, whatever, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So, if you're comparing two voltages, compare them using the same meter, so you'll get the ratio accurate. So, that's what we learned. We're not rich, so we can't afford the flukes, but at some point along the line, we will upgrade to a little bit higher quality meters. I mean, these are good meters, but, you know, we have a bit of an accuracy problem here between the two, and when you're comparing plate versus screen voltages, that's obviously that sent me down a path of troubleshooting that it wasn't the case. The screens are running a little bit lower than the plates, as they should be, comes to find out. So that's what we learned there. If you do this kind of thing, I'm telling you guys right here, before he takes over the world, ChatGPT is your friend. I say that with a big fat caveat. It does get confused, it does get stuff wrong, but it's probably much better than just going on a forum and trying to search for stuff yourself. It's very good at searching the internet and, you know, thinking about it and compacting all the knowledge over the internet and giving it to you. Just be careful, it's not always right, but, you know, with this and the demo recording, when I was mixing it, I used it to try and teach me how to do it to mix the professional way, you know, adding compression and EQ and literally every step by step, every track by track. I asked it what it thought it should do. I followed its instructions, and I think my demo has certainly, you know, gone to the next level since the previous one. And I understand a lot of those effects and stuff like that much more than I did. So there you go. If you're into learning new crap, you just learned a bunch of new crap, as did I. Where are we at? Oh, we were demonstrating this thing. Hang tight. Alright, fellas, we're back. We're going to keep her with the hood open for now. We're fairly confident the problem was with the old speaker cable. In the meantime, I added flyback diodes. Can you see them there? This thing's alive. I'm going to be sticking my digits in there. Right here. A couple of flyback diodes. R5000F. From the plate connection to the ground, same ground as the cathodes, reverse biased, very important. Those will protect against, you know, bad speaker cables and speaker cable getting yanked out or blowing a speaker and stuff like that. It'll protect your stuff, I believe, if you get a fault condition where that happens. Because if this goes open, right, since we have transformers with inductance, capacitors resist changes in voltage, inductors resist changes in current. So if you have a fault condition, it resists a change in current, and the way it does that is by spiking the voltage, and that gives a place for the voltage to go, not the transformer or your tubes or the rest of the amplifier. So good thing to have. Doesn't change any of the way that sounds audibly, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong down below if I'm spreading misinformation, but there you go, flyback diodes. Alright, she's been running for a little while. Let's get back to our little knob twisting demo. Alright, can you see everything? Can you see the Tonon's wardrobe up there? Wardrobe. Before I forget, in the past video, we added those frequency-dependent plate load bypass capacitors trying to chase some noises. Turns out the bridge ground wire on the Bentley had come disconnected, and so we were chasing a floating ground in the guitar, and there was nothing wrong with the amplifier. How fun! But we did learn something new. Anyway, let me get Reaper rolling here, and we will finish this little demonstration. We're rolling. The main thing I wanted to demonstrate on this amp is the mods. And like I said before, in the original configuration, this amp was just a gain monster. I'm going to set the gain at halfway, and that's what this sounds like. So yeah, pretty kicked up. master volume's kind of down a little bit. Let me turn it up a little bit, right? But with the mods, the changes to V1 and the tube rolling we did, the 12AY7 in the V1 position and the 5751 tube in V2, if we roll down on the volume knob, we can go from a snarling demon to a clean machine. Well, there you go. Rock and roll machine. Well, there you go. There you have it. I think this is the last. We're going to see if this amplifier on this channel before we send it out. We only have a couple other things to do. We're going to add a little silicone to our capacitors there. Get them stuck down into the chassis on the turret board. Keep them from flopping around and causing problems. I'm going to hang on to it for a little bit longer. I just want to make sure it's 100%. Because I'm not 100%. It was the speaker cable that I was using, but I'm like 95% sure. But we're going to make sure that this thing is completely perfect before we send it out. But there you go, the Robinette SLO Nakid project. This is a great platform. The topology, the way it is, you know, a clone of the gain channel of the Soldano SLO. But if you're a tinkerer, it's a great platform to tinker around and make some mods. Like on V1, like we did. Tube rolling experimentations are fun. The SLO has a very aggressive cold clipper. That would be a great place to, you know, have some fun with. Adding or taking away cathode bypass capacitors in the preamp tubes. And then, you know, adjusting values of plate resistors and the EQ and stuff like that. It's a really great platform to, you know, have fun and tinker around building your own amplifier. I highly recommend the project. It's a little bit different than a JCM 800 with a master volume. The power supply, it's a lot, I want to say it's different. The way it's laid out, it's more strategic, and every, you know, gain stage has its own filtering section, whereas the Marshall, the JCM 800, is a little bit different. So I think this amp's going to be a little bit tighter, a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more rowdy. And take it or leave it, you know. Add salt to taste. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say, don't you? Yeah, there you go. We're going to miss this sucker. So, got a lot of cool stuff coming up. We're going to work on that Morley pedal, because you can get those things for like $100. Those vintage Morley pedals. They're the best sounding wah pedal there is out there, especially for hard rock and metal. And if we can figure out how to make them quiet, then it's a no-brainer. So I think we're going to do that very soon. And we built a bunch of pedals. We will demonstrate those. And then also I've been working on my own amplifier, that 100-watt crate that we're transforming into a modified slash amp. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Hope that you guys will all join me for that. Or not. I don't know. Maybe you're busy. You got stuff going on too. Rock on and prosper. Bye, guys.
Done.